Murg, Strävan. Let's do it. So, Murg is a Swedish duo who play a fairly atmospheric, but otherwise traditional style of Scandinavian black metal. Um, the way I've kind of come to describe it is they almost sound like what I think Darkthrone would sound like if they had started, in the early 2010s instead of the, 1980s, late 1980s. Um, and that probably doesn't sound like a super stellar description. You're probably thinking what makes them special. And the answer is I'm not entirely sure. Um, but their last record, Strävan, came out last year, was my favorite album of the year. And it's just really stuck with me. Like, I still listen to it probably once or twice a week. Um, there's just something, like, indescribably perfect about this record to me. The the opening track starts with these weird, almost like it's this almost like post-punk sensibility type riff. It's really weird. It's this twinkly, like, you know, arpeggiated guitar uh, line, and it's just very like somber and melancholic. It seems like a silly thing to say, but it kind of evokes, like this gloomy Swedish landscape to me. And from there, it's just this like really dark, gloomy. Again, I'm gonna reuse that word because it's just so fitting. Excursion. The record's like 40 minutes long. It's nothing too inaccessible, but it's all very like reverb heavy. The vocals have these shrieked, like almost distant quality to them, but there is a presence to them as well. It's ghostly in a way. It sounds like you're, you know, walking through the woods at night and you hear something shrieking off in the distance. It's this like chilling sort of presence to it while still being very far away and almost ethereal. And the drumming is absolutely perfect. Like the drums accentuate the riffs really well. I think that's almost sort of a benefit or a side effect of them being a two-piece. When it's just two people collaborating on music, you sort of get this like feedback loop where it becomes a very complimentary process. Like I'm sure the guitarist comes with a riff and the drummer just says, okay, here's what we're gonna play, and that's it. That's the whole the entirety of the process. Where with a bigger band, you might have people like, I don't like this, let's tweak this part. I don't really like the drums here, can we change that? It just becomes sort of a more involved ordeal. So I think that's another thing that really shines with Murg, is that they have this very focused vision of what they want to do with their music, or at least it seems that way to me. I guess something else I'll mention is that I don't read Swedish. I don't really know what the lyrics are about. I don't know what their general concepts are, but all of their promo shots are like, this sort of Magua style, like very heavily veiled. You can't see their faces, and it's always like in the woods or by a river in the snow. It is very like typical Scandinavian nature imagery, which is great. I love that sort of thing, obviously. Um, but I think they really are like a direct descendant of that early 90s Scandinavian black metal lineage. And they're Swedish, so obviously, they probably grew up listening to that stuff and are just very tapped into that, that line, that current of music. And the sixth track on this record I really want to mention in particular. It's called Strävan, and it's just one of my favorite songs ever. It's so fucking good. Like, if you don't listen to anything else on this record or that I recommend on this channel, just listen to that song. It is unbelievably good. Everything about it. It's just perfect ambiance, perfect riffs, perfect vocals. I literally could just keep calling every aspect of it perfect, but I think you get the point. Check that song out. If you like it, check the whole album out. And if you have listened to it or check it out because of this review, which would be awesome, let me know what you think of it. Again, just to reiterate, literally my favorite album of 2019, one of my favorite albums of the 2010s. Flawless record. Check it out.